Well, we had best of the year. Time for the worst. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Astrobat Divine, and today we're talking about the top 5 worst games of 2020. Please note this is an opinion. If you disagree, good for you. Tell me what your thoughts are. And if you want to debate me on these opinions, feel free. Make sure it's an actual sound debate, not just game good, you bad. Otherwise, you can fuck off. No one cares. So let's get into it. I'm not going to really fuck around. You know how it works. Coming in at the number 5 spot is Watch Dogs 3 or Watch Dogs Legion. Or as I like to call it, Grand Theft Granny Simulator. This shit's funny as fuck. But it's not a good game. My girlfriend has Watch Dogs 3, so I ended up playing from her. And straight away, I recruited as many elderly women and men as I possibly could to form my team of grannies. And that was a lot of fun. However, that fun wore off when I realised how shit the story is, how boring the mechanics are, and how this still just doesn't feel that good. I've never been a crazy Watch Dogs fan. Watch Dogs 1 was interesting, Watch Dogs 2 was boring, and Watch Dogs 3 once again hits the boring on the head. I wouldn't recommend this game to anyone, unless you're a major die-hard Ubisoft fan. I'm not going to spend much longer on this because the game wasn't worth that much time to spend on as it is, so that's all it's getting. Coming in at number 4 is the Resident Evil 3 remake. This was fucking awful. Not to say it was a terrible remake, it wasn't half bad. No, the issue arises from the fact that this game had the goal to charge a full price of a title for a game with, already Resident Evil 3 is one of the shortest Resident Evil entries. It's meant to be DLC, basically. But they removed content from that already short length and then tried to package that as a full price title to us. When we now know from leaks that it was meant to be included with RE2 Remake as part of the thing, as a bundled in bonus. Yeah, not good there, Capcom. Besides that, the game itself isn't terrible to play. It's just for the sheer cost and for the amount of content you get, to fucking rip off. And I don't think it's worth your time. Resident Evil 2 Remake, go ahead. That's actually valued well for its price. And if you can get that one thrown in as well, that's great. Otherwise, the only real redeeming thing of the Resident Evil 3 remake is Resistance, and that's no longer getting updates, so that's pretty shit. So yeah, not much worth your time. I wouldn't bother unless you get it for super cheap or you get it bundled in with RE2, a much better game. Coming in at my number 3 is Predator Hunting Grounds. Oh boy, this is a bad game. So I'm a bit of a fan of the Predator series, not a die-hard crazy fan. I've got a few friends like that. But I do appreciate it. I am more of an Alien or Terminator guy myself when it comes to those classic films that are kind of considered there. Rambo as well. Actually, I prefer Predator slightly over Rambo. This game was meant to be when I heard it, I was like, sick. So it's like Friday the 13th. It's by the same guys, but instead you play as the Predator and there's military guys. That's cool. Once again, I don't own the game. My girlfriend does, so I got it off her. It's bad. Is bad. Is really, really, really bad. Played it for a few hours. I wanted to kill myself. Didn't touch it again. Look, the gameplay is meh. The Predator feels incredibly underpowered. The guns and shit feel shit to shoot. The callouts don't really work that well. It's buggy as hell. It is basically Friday the 13th without the charm of Friday the 13th. Don't get me wrong, Predator is a big iconic franchise, but when you compare it to something like Friday the 13th, which fits the setting much better and ended up working well, this just falls through. I'm sorry to say that it is easily my number 3 pick, and that this was no-brainer. This was going on my list. In fact, these top 3 were no-brainers for my list as soon as I experienced them. So, that's letting you know something. Except, number 2, not really. About halfway through the game, I realised it was going my worst. And I'm not going to faff around here. My second pick for the worst game. This is a really tight pick for me, by the way, between number 2 and number 1. This is really, really flip-flopping. Number 2 is Ghost of Tsushima. That's going to shock a few people. Ghost of Tsushima is a really well-crafted game for combat. It has an intriguing story for the first half of the game. And it has some great voice acting. Now, the issues of Ghost of Tsushima is it has a stealth system, which is one of the worst I've ever experienced, and that is forced upon the player. It has fuck all choice from a company who is known for choice. It makes you actively hate the main character partway through the game. And the only modicum of choice at the end feels meaningless. But pretty game, pretty game, good combat. 10 out of 10, totally. No, this game is fucking awful. For a story game to make me actively hate the character I'm playing is not a good sign. To also force me to play the game with stealth, which is terribly designed, is another problem. When in reality, the combat of the game is so excellently well crafted. Why couldn't you just give the option to pick between the two or just remove the stealth entirely? I know, because some beta cucklords just don't understand the concept of a good action game. But, that's just how it is, how it is these days. You have to play stealthy games, stab, easy. No, I picked one of the hardest difficulties I think that was available to me. I'm pretty sure it was the hardest available to me. And I went through, samurai the entire thing the best I could. I didn't get a single stealth skill until the only thing I could spend my points on were stealth skills. And even at that point, I barely used them until I beat the game, in which case I then used them to clear everything to test it out. And holy shit, the amount of ease stealth gives to the game is fucking stupid. Seriously. If you play Ghost of Tsushima stealth playthrough, you're an idiot. Go back through, play it like a real man with combat, and then when you're forced to play stealth, you'll understand why I hate this game so fucking much. Terrible. Big letdown for a game that has so much potential. With a few edits, could be made excellent. Anyway, let's move on to Last of Us Part 2. Oh, I spoiled that one, didn't I? That's my number one pick. I'm going to get the honorable mentions after my number one pick this time, because the only real honorable mention I have, I think, is worse than Last of Us Part 2. But we'll get there. Last of Us Part 2 is a bad game. It's a really bad fucking game. Look, I tried it, and I was like, my thought process this is simple. I won't shit on a game. I won't give my opinion on a game till I played the game. And I played Last of Us Part 2. It is so god awful that I gave up. I don't think I've ever given up on it. Oh, I have actually Uncharted, but that's not because it's a bad game. It's just the game doesn't fit my cup of tea. No, Last of Us Part 2 is a bad game. Let me explain this why. Last of Us, look, Naughty Dog as a company has shown themselves to either be really good at gameplay or really good at story. Early Naughty Dog was gameplay centric, with stuff like Crash shining through. Later Naughty Dog is great story. Uncharted, Last of Us, excellent stories, but really boring and basic, simple gameplay. But that's fine, because the stories hold through. Last of Us Part 2 has a shit story and shit gameplay. The new additions they pushed are crap. The story itself made me actively hate every character involved, except for Joel, who gets cucked over within the first 15 minutes of the game. Yay. I hate this game. The graphics are nice, I can say that about it. It's well crafted in that way. Mechanically speaking, it is fundamentally a well crafted title, but it's executed horrifically. I will never touch this title again, as far as I'm concerned, unless I get challenged to it for some reason or I'm stupid enough to do it. Wouldn't recommend. And yeah, it's my worst game of the year, by far. Not by far. Ghost almost beat it out because I did enjoy Ghost, but then I ruined Ghost. But I thought a game that I enjoyed part of it at least deserved more credit than a game that I hated most of it. So Now, onto my only honorable mention is Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Beyond Light. This would have made number one easily if I allowed expansions in my list. This expansion is god-awful. Any Destiny player, especially those who delve into the Crucible, know why it is terrible. I'll list a few reasons. Number one, the story was terrible. Wasn't any built to the villain at all. Terribly managed by Bungie. Number two, the Stasis stub class, while a cool feature, has fucking ruined the game's meta. That's about it. Those are the two big reasons, and those are the only two reasons it really needs. Oh, there are a few others. The loot incentive is gone completely. There's fuck all loot to earn. Weapon sunsetting has removed a lot of people's favorite guns, so there's no old faithfuls to fall back onto. And the current meta is still just auto rifle heavy. It's not fun. But Bungie fucked it. Look, there's some good things. Europa looks cool, and Deepstone Crypt's a good raid. Don't get me wrong, but what we got and what Beyond Light left Destiny in as a state of a game was unprecedented and not a good sign. It hasn't felt this boring and bland and terrible since the Red Legion, so the Red War. So that's a bad sign. But that would have taken number one, and that's why I decided to put the honorable mention below the number one pick this year, just because it would have taken the number one spot if it could have. Anyway, that's my list. Short, brief, like always. I hope you enjoyed it. You're getting my anticipated and my games you should have coming out soon. Otherwise, stay good, have fun. Feel free to discuss these below in the comments with me. I'm fine to discuss and argue about whose opinion is right and whose isn't. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.